Hey there folks, this is GreenyXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 116. In the last episode, we abruptly ended where Will was just about to give his answer to who killed off Beatrice back in 1986. So, we also found out that Leon, the new character for this arc, is actually Kinzo's son and grandson, with Beatrice the junior Beatrice. This is, those two got together, so they formed Leon and gave him to Natsui to raise as her kid. So, sounds a bit complicated, but it's not too bad. So, we're just about to find out, I think. I actually saved really quick and turned it off. I saw what the next character looks like, but it wasn't... You'll see now. Okay, so let's get going. I am very excited to see where this game goes. Bit of a spoiler in the thumbnail here, I suppose, but it's coming now anyway, so... And here she is. I don't know who it is. We're about to find out now. All I know is I love her design. Almost like Bo Peep from Toy Story. Listen, I am one yet many. What I speak is our tale. However, this is a small world sealed by glass and cork with no one to hear. None shall lay eyes upon it, and my entire tale shall be sealed away, set adrift in the sea of my heart until it disappears amongst the seaweed. Ah, where's this place? Oh, hello, game show woman. And who am I? And the other one. Then let me ask, where do you want it to be? Who do you want to be? Any place, so long as it will wrap itself around me gently. Anyone, so long as I am treated kindly. Yes, for us. For us. Where and who we are hardly matter. Correct. For us, it's such a trivial matter. At least until that day comes to pass. Why must we be thrown in the path of a new fate? Fate's pronouncement was sudden and abrupt. It wasn't the fate I'd wished for, but it did make your heart pound. Where will the new fate take me? It doesn't matter where. So long as that place is kind to us. When we were brought to the temporary dwelling where sad, parentless children gather, was that a sign of God's salvation, or lure into the demon's game where the new fate would torment us? We have no way of knowing. And yet, we want to believe. We want to believe it was God's salvation sent to us, a sign of Fukuin? The good news, the gospel. But why me? I have no religion. Then it wasn't the gospel, but a demon's lure. And yet, we cannot go against fate. Oh, I am one yet many. I pray that the new fate brings us blessings. The time is 1976 AD, in April, at a time still too cool to be called spring. In a strange new land, we were tormented by the same stale air and drafts. Okay, there are the people of theatre going, definitely theatre going. We got the theatre background, we got the game show hosts. Yeah, bit confusing right now. Chapter 1, A New Life. Aha! Oh, I am one yet many. Achievement unlocked. Okay, so they're gonna tell a story right through a whole book? I like the formatting, but I want to see where this goes. So we're in 1976, 10 years before what we just saw, I guess. Was that where Beatrice was hung before? The portrait. Those are the family rules. They may be strict, but I believe that the discipline you learn in this house will serve you well in the future. Yes, madam. The servants who would start work in this April all called out in unison. The rules of the Ashurmaya family are no more or less strict than those of the Fukuin house. However, we get paid a lot of money here. They also give us a lot of help in finding our next job. We work for the Ashurmaya family, store up money, use their influence to get a job at a good company, and start on a new, happy life. That was the dream, and it was a very realistic one, held by all of us at the Fukuin house. Who's the Fukuin house? However, not everyone can become an Ashuramaia family servant. Only kids with a record of exemplary conduct and good grades are recommended. So all the kids who want to be sure of leaving the Fukuin house to live a happy life are feverishly devoted to their studies. Oh, was the Fukuin house the adoption place, the orphanage? Was it? That's enough for today. Tomorrow, you start early. Make sure the lights are all out at the appropriate time. That's all. Yes, madam. Thank you very much. After bowing until Natsui was no longer in sight, the new servants all followed the lead of one of the more experienced servants and raised their heads. Ooh, new. Wait! Is that one of the stakes of purgatory? Okay, we're done for the day. Starting tomorrow, you'll be following your shift schedule. The madam is very strict about time. If any of you sleep in, it'll be my responsibility. So if you do, I'll kick you awake. Got it? Of course, this experienced servant was one of the older girls from the Fukuin house. She's been here for 2 years apparently. That's probably why all the other new servants, who are older than me, seem to know her well. That madam looked so strict. Dang, I'm tired. By the way, who exactly is this kid? Why were you chosen to be a servant? The older servant pointed at me and asked the room at large, a dubious look on her face. It's no surprise really. Most of us become servants when we graduate middle school or high school. But I'm just starting elementary school. The others will be working as servants every day of the week according to their standard shift schedule. However, on weekdays I was going to go to the elementary school in Najima with my lady, only working on weekends and when I had free time. It was an exception among exceptions, something that had never happened before. It was clear at a glance that the others, who had obtained their positions after a rigorous selection process, didn't like the fact that I was here too. Both Madam and Genji-sama have told me that you are to put your studies first, but you're still getting paid. Doesn't make any sense. If you're going to talk behind someone's back, at least do it behind them. She didn't even try to hide her discontent. Is this kid really that smart? A child prodigy or something? I never heard anything about that. Well, that kid supposedly gets sick easily and is kept isolated most of the time. A total outsider to the rest of us, even back at the house. Now that you're here, you're part of the collective responsibility system. If you screw up, it's the same as everyone from the Fukuin house screwing up. Make sure you don't, okay? I nodded weakly. I'd never been threatened by someone this much older than me, and I was very frightened. Don't worry. Oh, hello, Shannon. I'll be there with you. Let's give it our all together, okay? Shannon smiled at me as she spoke. Okay. Isn't Shannon scared too? This house looks pretty strict. No, there's nothing scary about it. You just thought it was scary, so it got scary. Then if I thought it was fun, would it get fun? Yeah, it would. So here too, let's give it our all with a smile. Shannon was my only friend in the Fukuin house. She was confident and popular. The complete opposite of me. I was embarrassingly dull-witted, and no one wanted to be my friend. I would never have made it through those days in the Fukuin house had it not been for her encouragement. So I would probably make it through here too, with her by my side. Well, isn't it about time we got ready for bed? I've got work early tomorrow morning, but you have a different job. That's right, and like everyone else, I have to go to school. When I spend the night on Rokkanjima, I have to get ready for school and wait for my lady at the dock. My lady looks like an energetic person. I hope you get along well. This is weird. It's like the three of them are one person and they are the person that we're seeing through the camera kind of thing, first person wise, in the actual story. Do you think I will? I'm so scared of school, so nervous. I had grown used to life in the Fukuin house, so the more relaxed rules at school made life easy. But until I grew used to it, everything was new, everything made me nervous. Ooh, nice picture. Actually, while this is uploading and everything every day, I should be on holidays, so I'm hoping to be able to see that sort of thing. Bit of blue sky and un-British weather. My new life on Rokkanjima probably deserves an explanation. It was completely different from the comfortable yet stagnant life I'd lived at the Fukuin house. I gotta be careful saying. In addition to the time I spent as a servant to the Ashuramaia family on Rokkanjima, I also travelled to the elementary school on Nijima on school days. It was the start of a time that was both rushed and busy, with hardly a moment to relax. Unlike the time I spent at the Fukuin house, I didn't get to sleep in the same bed every day. Half the week, I slept in the servant waiting room in the Rokkanjima mansion. I would return from school with my lady, go to the mansion, and work there as a servant. I would then stay the night and go to school with my lady again the next day. When I didn't have work, I would return to the dormitory on Najima, where I could have some time to myself in the room that I was assigned to. There was an adult dorm mother with strictly controlled mealtimes and lights out. There was an adult dorm mother grammar, who strictly controlled mealtimes and lights out. But I was already used to that sort of life, so it wasn't hard for me. The rooms were slightly larger than average and housed 3 people each. However, either because of the number of people or some lucky chance, I was not given a 3-person room. Looks like we'll share a dorm room too. With Shannon by my side, I felt like I'd be able to manage well enough. Having someone that positive for something new is quite nice, mind. Ooh, correct. Every year, new servants came from the Fukuin house, replacing some of the old ones. It was something Father worked out with the house all on his own. The rest of us weren't allowed to meddle. And after all, our family would strictly discipline these children without families and support them on their path to adulthood, which I always viewed as the rich Ashuramaia family fulfilling its obligations to society. What sort of kids came to serve the Ashuramaia family? I'm sure they were serious, cute kids of irreproachable conduct. It seemed to me that there were a lot of glaring hyenas among them. Let us say they had high ambitions. They were pitiable children without families. All were determined to use this rare opportunity to launch their careers so that they could take control of their lives. Did all of them have to balance school and servant work? That must be tough. You won't be able to get much work done. Before that child, there were no cases of a servant going to school while they worked. To be honest, I was fairly surprised when that kid first came to greet me. So obviously young. The others were all around 16 or 18 years old, but that kid alone looked 10 years younger. That one extraordinarily young servant came to the family mainly for experience, so not much was expected of that child's ability as a servant. Notice we haven't met Cannon yet. He seems about the same age as Shannon, doesn't he? Just as a guess, as a observation. Indeed, you certainly couldn't rely on that kid as much as you could an adult, seasoned servant. To think that we would accept a child who hadn't even started school, no knowledge of housework, no practical experience, not even finished with mandatory education. I don't know what Father was thinking, but I always thought there was something clearly odd about it. I spoke to Father about it. I asked if it might be better to wait for the servant to graduate middle school before starting here. What did Kinzo say? Come on, we all know what he said. Ooh, Beatrice. By that time, he was already a complete shut-in inside his study, obsessed with the occult. If you tried to talk to him when he didn't want you to, he'd yell and tell you to stop interrupting the journey of his mind. And Father's decisions were absolute. However, the case of this particular child just didn't make sense. I even asked the Fukuin house about it. They said to ask Genji-san. I then asked Genji-san, and he said to ask the master. And then you asked the master, and he said, Beatrice! No one knows the truth. Jessica was the only child on the island. The servants would often play with my daughter, but she wanted a friend of her own age. Is that why Kinzo wanted him? Or her? Someone she could play with at home, as well as at school. I began to think the father employed the servant out of pity for Jessica. But if that were the case, why wouldn't he talk to us about it beforehand? We should be the ones to decide which friends are suitable for our daughter. Scary. Natsui must have really hated taking her kid out in public. We should probably view this as an arrangement planned by Genji. Probably. Genji-san knew that the me in this world carried grandfather's blood, so he probably arranged for that me to be summoned to Rokkanjima. You feeling okay now? It was a really big shock, that's all. I just feel a bit dizzy now. In this world, you're the successor. But if we move to a different world, you're a servant, or maybe a witch. You do have a troubled fate. No kidding. I don't regret learning about it, but if I could forget it now, I would. Isn't it interesting? Even though you're a servant, you're actually an illegitimate child of the head. Isn't that romantic? Like some fairy tale? Romantic. Considering how Mom must have felt, I'm not sure what to think. True. In Natsui's eyes, the Leon of this world is nothing more than the baby she hated and was forced to raise. And in this world, she rejected that child. Natsui must adore her natural child Jessica a bunch more. A baby that doesn't share your blood is nothing more than a dirty, lukewarm sack of filth. Have some decency. Next time, I'll be the one pinching your butt. Thank you, Will. I think I understand, more or less. And that's exactly why I need to be grateful to my mother. She's raised me fairly all these years. Though the probability so low it'd take a miracle to happen. Animals are always brutal towards children that don't carry their blood. Lions do that too, don't they? This is name. We can probably sketch out Genji's line of thinking. The Leon of this world is a true, blood-related member of the Ashuramaia family. He must have wanted to let that child live on Rokkenjima somehow. However, it wasn't as though he could just suddenly show up with Leon and tell everyone who this was, so it wasn't canon then, like we thought. Is a Leon, a different type of Leon from a different sort of fragment, a different world. If he went to that home. Yeah. Maybe he wanted me to live on the island until I was used to it, and then reveal everything when the chance presented itself. However, the Leon of this world was not given special treatment. The silver ring doesn't actually exist. I wonder if that means Grandfather never heard about me. That might mean that Genji never found a good opportunity to reveal the truth. Genji must have wanted to tell the truth one day, to tell that the orphan of Kinzo's beloved Beatrice was still alive. However, that was not an easy thing to say. Why wasn't it easy? Dummy, what would happen if Natsui found out? Alright, if Leon suddenly appeared, Jessica wouldn't be the successor anymore. Strictly speaking, Jessica wasn't the successor, but since she'd be able to select the future successor, it all came to the same thing. The more one learns, the less simple this tale becomes. There were some who celebrated my birth, and some who did not. Genji could only wait in silence for the proper day to reveal it all. Was the tale hidden only within Genji's heart? Leon and Kinzo and Natsui and Kraus and Jessica and everyone else, none of them knew this tale. Thus, the curtains slowly rise on this curious tale in the year 1976. Oh my, I am one yet many. When must fate abandon us and continue on its merry way? People only found the young servant strange for the first month. Natsui and Kraus's protests came to naught. After all, there was no actual harm in it, so why not indulge Kinzo's whim? Eventually, everyone grew accustomed and began to accept this slightly abnormal everyday life. However, it was not so for the other Fukuin servants, who were always close by and who believed that everyone should be treated equally. Their small bits of discontent over my special treatment began to accumulate as time went on. Nice work, Sawachi. How'd it go today? Madam was really pissed off. She was like running her finger across the windowsills. Yeah, getting on Tadachi's case for cleaning slow. Come on, give us a break. All the kids in the Fukuin house are supposed to treat each other as family. Because of this, everyone hides their original names and uses their new blessed names. Maybe because the character is in the word Fukuin. That character is almost always combined with at least one character from the child's original name to make their new name. Still, just giving a person a new name doesn't mean they'll accept it so easily. Boys and girls who have lived in isolation and through various trials sometimes feel as though their real first and last names are a bond that's worth holding on to. So most of the Fukuin children hate their names, calling each other by nicknames based on their original names. Of course, that's only done privately. When in the presence of the house director or other important people, only the blessed names are used. On the job, the blessed names are used. And off the job, informal nicknames are used. Everyone's very used to living with two names like this, so they're all comfortable with how the system works. Whew, you stink. Go take a shower. Dang, why is it so cramped in here? Can't they get a bigger dorm if they have that huge mansion? Hey, Garashi-san, why is Yasu the only one who isn't in the 3-person room? By Yasu, they probably mean me. I can't remember my parents at all, since they were gone as far back as my memory goes, but I was given the last name, Yasuda, and apparently my nickname comes from that. How should I know? Genji-sama is the one who decides the rooms. I don't like it either. Yeah, seriously, Wouldn't it normally go 2 and 2? I mean, who exactly is Yasu anyway? Looks like that kid's job is going to school with Milady or something. So what, is being a school friend a profession now? Doesn't make any sense. Of course, on days when I am given work, I return to the mansion right after school and work alongside all the others. I help out with caring for the garden and cleaning up the mansion. I can't do any jobs on my own, so I'm always just helping out. Maybe because I'm young, the adult servants are always kind to me. My fellow Fukuin servants don't seem too happy about that though. Oh, we're getting to see another one. It's the Snakes of Purgatory. This is where the image of them came from, I guess. Don't you think Kumasawa-san's obviously soft on Yasu? It's like she's mistaken Yasu for her own grandchild or something. And why on earth does that kid get paid the same as the rest of us? I don't get it. I realise that you have school to worry about. But don't forget that you're a servant too, okay? You need to stop being a helper and learn to do work by yourself like the rest of us. We aren't going to let you take it easy forever, okay? I've been trying my best. However, I'm not very strong yet, so I can't carry heavy things. I can't carry a lot of things either. I can't fold clothes right, I'm not good at using a dustpan. I just can't do it as well as everyone else. As my face turned red, I spotted Shannon, who was watching from the sidelines and not joining in. Shannon's my only ally. And like me, she can do everything well. However, she'll never pamper me. She'll show me how things are done, but she'll never steal my jobs from me. She really is incredible. I really want to be like Shannon as soon as I can. She never talks behind people's backs, and no one talks behind her back. She's kind and she gets along with everyone. I want to be like her. And she's always kindly watching over my efforts to become like her. Why did I end up here? I don't know. Though I'd just been muttering to the ceiling, Shannon gave me an honest answer. I guess there's no way to say it except that it's part of God's plan. Is this another test from God? Yeah. Think of it as a test to help you grow into a wonderful human being. After all, you're a special chosen person. Am I special? Of course you are. After all, everyone else here is huge, but you are the only one special enough to be chosen young. Why am I the only one who's little? I can't do any jobs by myself. Everyone complains that I'm just there to play with Milady. And yet, Madam made it clear that I am not to think of Milady as a friend, or speak to her in a casual manner. You may be 10 years younger than everyone else, but that means, if you keep it up until you're the same age as the others, you'll be much more experienced than the new people who come later. Even Genji-sama will acknowledge your talents, and you'll become a leader who can teach the kids who come from Fukuin House. And then I'm sure that everyone will respect you. By that time, even Madam, the Master, and Kraus-sama will acknowledge your skills. That's your future. You mean like the ugly duckling becoming a swan? That might be it. After all, it was very unusual for you to be chosen as an Ashuramaia family servant. In fact, that rumour might be true, and you might be the secret child of someone in the Ashuramaia family. Shannon laughed, saying, wouldn't that be cool? And then you'd be super rich too. But that didn't seem quite right to me. After all, if that was the case, why have I had to live all alone, here in the Fukuin house? Shannon and people like the house director are the only ones who will play with me. I don't have any other friends to play with. I've spent all my time by myself, in my isolated room. Maybe it's because I'm frail and always asleep a lot, but it has been lonely. Hey Genji, exactly how much did you know? You never talk about anything, but you've known everything since the beginning, haven't you? 19 years ago, you heard from Natsui that a servant had fallen from a cliff holding a baby. You went to the bottom of that cliff and realised that the baby was still alive, didn't you? I was not qualified to determine whether it was alive or dead. Then who was? The doctor, of course. What do you say, Dr. Nanjo? Are you certain? Is it alright for me to speak? If you are willing to tell the story yourself, then I ask it of you. Very well. I was contacted by Genji-san immediately after the accident and asked to conduct an examination in secrecy. In secrecy? Why? Both the Beatrice of Kuwadorian and her child were unregistered people who weren't supposed to exist. It would lead to various problems if it went public. I started the procedures to have the baby registered, but they were not complete at that time. It was a very unfortunate time for the baby to die. So the servant who fell was treated as having died alone in an accident. Natsui wouldn't talk to anyone. It would have been easy to set up. But that baby was alive, wasn't it? Correct. Of course, the child was gravely injured. It was a miracle that it survived that wound. If the angle had been slightly different, or if Genji-san had been any slower in carrying the baby to me, that baby only managed to survive thanks to a series of miracles. I had given up. I didn't believe the baby could have survived that. But it did. How strong and resilient is life? No, this is fate. Fate! So the baby was fated to live on and eventually accomplish something great? Yes, I did think it was fate. I thought the blood of the Kuwadorian Beatrice Sama, whose life ended on Rokkenjima, must have imparted something onto this child to make it survive. However, Genji did not tell his master Kinzo that the child had survived. He simply said that it had fallen to its death in an unfortunate accident. Kinzo mourned, but his mourning was more one of madness than of sorrow. Beatrice, why have you run away from me once more? Why, even though I'd swore I'd never make the same mistake again, why? There was one matter in which Genji did not trust the master he so respected. That matter was whether Kinzo would be capable of accepting Beatrice's grandchild as her grandchild. Genji had served the Kuwadorian Beatrice for many years as well. He was very aware of what she had felt. He knew that she had accepted the favour Kinzo had bestowed on her and respected him as a father. However, her love was not the same as Kinzo's love. Kinzo thought her to be Beatrice reborn, and tried to use her to satisfy the many feelings he had felt for the late Beatrice. Of course, the Kuwadorian Beatrice could not accept those feelings. In the end, she had her chastity stolen by the one she thought of as her only family and respected as a father. She thought it was her father, and he thought she was his wife. Oh, what irreconcilable, forbidden love. I couldn't get that then. This is not to say that I was incapable of understanding how Kinzo-sama felt. At the moment of her birth, even he did not plan on taking advantage of her, due to her resemblance to the late Beatrice Sama. He even spoke to me about it a few times when we were drinking. I always thought he was just joking. Was he surprised to find that the daughter grew to look more and more like the mother? As the daughter grew, did he suffer from a forbidden emotion he couldn't suppress? I thought that he might commit the same mistake again. That was my view. Beatrice Sama suffered much, and yet she never truly understood the difference between her feelings and Kinzo's. Beatrice Sama consulted me many times, laying bare her deepest feelings. However, I was unable to tell her. That would be hard to say. Imagine telling her that the one she respects as a father wants to use her as a replacement for her dead mother. Let me say this for the sake of Kinzo-san's honour. He also suffered greatly. It pained him when he found that he could no longer think of his daughter as a daughter. I told him to love her as a father. I think Kinzo-san followed his logic and his conscience and fought for quite some time. Kinzo loved her. He poured his affection onto the daughter that Beatrice had left behind. He did so as a father, and yet, if so, why did he give the daughter the same name as the mother? Yes, Kinzo's sin started from the moment she received life. She was born, and Beatrice died. He passed the name down from mother to daughter. From the moment of her birth, Kinzo had already decided that she was Beatrice reborn. So then we get Leon. Kinzo, trying to atone for his sin, tried to make Leon a proper member of the Ashuramaia family. Exactly. I get the feeling I'll get my butt pinched if I talk about other fragments, but what if there is a fragment where Leon is accepted and Kinzo commits the same sin again? Want to see if we can find one of those? Who would want to see something like that? Is this your job, mixing up the worst possible delusions and possibilities for every part of a person's life and sneering at them? Unfortunately, that's the sort of demon she is. How rude. I'm a witch. Genji foresaw that worst of all possible futures, and trying to secure a better future, he intentionally lied about the baby being dead. Right. Kinzo was a man so impulsive that he used his own daughter. Genji, who knew Beatrice's feelings and felt sympathy for her, couldn't trust Kinzo so easily. Even Genji, Kinzo's most devoted servant. Genji draws a clear line between the profession and the personal. While he served Kinzo faithfully, he also felt that the mistake Kinzo had made with his daughter was not one to be forgiven easily. Could be. And to make sure that Leon wouldn't be found out easily, Genji lied about the kid's age, lowering it by 3 years. That's a good point. In this world, I'm just entering elementary school in 1976. I was actually supposed to become a 4th year then. If your frailness wasn't the reason, then Genji must have been careful to disguise the year of your birth. Not only Kinzo, but also Natsui wouldn't easily forget the baby from 19 years ago. If a suspiciously young servant of that age came to the island, Natsui's woman's intuition would definitely have picked up on it. Had the child been too sick to go to school for 3 years? Or had the age been faked so that Natsui wouldn't figure everything out? Either way, we know that your age has been lowered by 3 in this world. Correct. The age of this world's Leon has been altered by 3. This is a small, feeble kid we're talking about. An underdeveloped kid. It would be more possible to pull off than you'd think. I can agree. Like, I can see that. When I was little, I was little. I was short, you know. Really short for my age and underdeveloped, so... It's possible to look 3 years younger, you know. Genji decided to wait and see. In the end, would Kinzo be able to accept Beatrice's child as an actual child or not? He had the child live in the Fukuin house until a suitable age, and then summoned the child to the island as a servant. Both father and child had no clue who the other was. Genji had an idea. If Kinzo truly felt affection as a parent, he would notice traces of that deceased mother and daughter in this child. That way, they would surely regain their parent-child relationship without anyone having to expose the truth to them. That's what he thought. Or perhaps the time might come naturally. When that happened, he could tell the truth to both father and child. Believing that this day would eventually come, Genji told nothing of this to anyone. He watched over Beatrice's child, waiting for the fated day. And time continued to pass. Days slid by as he quietly watched over Beatrice's child. Ah, okay. So, we're slowly being drip-fed, sort of, what's gone on with Beatrice and Beatrice Jr. and now Leon. 3 generations. So, Leon was raised to become a servant. This is going to get interesting. Chapter 2, The First Friend. Okay, I can't save yet, so we're going to have to go into the next bit. So it's going to go through chapter by chapters, and it's probably going to be an episode per day for us as well, I imagine. Anyways, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit when we check out the new friend. Thanks again for watching, folks. See you again in a bit.